don't do this.
Clip! You fool!
Today we are free from the chains of Love Island USA Season 7. We are reeling over the rescheduled reunion of the format, and we discuss the Big Brother Season 27 premiere. As always, we name our liar of the week, and we prove that there's a little bit of emo in everyone. Listen, your friends and family might call this trash TV, your mom might have called your love for emo music a phase, but here, we know that pop culture moments and alternative music scenes shaped us and still do. So let's laugh together, let's cry together, let's scream at our TV together. Welcome to Reality Emos. Hey there, saddies. I'm Monique, your host, and this is Eric, our producer.
Yes, doing no producing today, which is part of my training to become a producer.
Yes, we're in the
I'm
little
learning
room
how it's really done.
Learning from the best, me.
Truly.
So today we have to discuss Love Island USA Season 7 for the very last time. We are free after this conversation.
You say that.
We're free. Well,
Sure.
I mean, there's a little bit of emo in everyone. I'm sure it'll be one of them. But
There's definitely not like a reunion coming up.
God.
Not being hosted by Andy. There's not,
You did just tell me that before we started recording, and I forgot already.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we're not free completely, but we're free from this season that was. There's still more to come, I guess. But
we'll never be free. Expecting to be free of Love Island is like expecting to be free from sociology as a study. It's everywhere. It's actually inescapable. There's so many parts of this show that we will never, ever be free from, that we will never escape from. Certainly not within the next decade, in my opinion. I think we'll be feeling the effects not only of Janae, Kenny, Leah, and Miguel, but also of, and sorry, no disrespect to Serena and Cordell either.
The winners.
The people who won. But I think we'll be feeling the effects of Nicolandria, Hudakris. I actually think I think we are free of Pepe and Iris for the most part.
Pepe is probably already left. I saw that Iris was hanging out with TJ in LA or something already.
He's
I mean, it made sense. They were a friendship couple, obviously.
Yeah, he's off to to newer, blonder horizons.
Oh, no. Do you think he'd like me? I'm a blonde.
I mean, I prefer he didn't.
But you said he likes blondes in distress, so.
Yeah, are you in distress right now? Blink twice if you're in distress.
I blinked
Well, that was
182 times. All right, let's get into this. So we got to cover the family visits and the finale, of course. So with the family visits, I thought it was actually so delightful to see all those men cry when their families came to visit. Not out of cruelty. It was just beautiful. And like even Shelley's whole comment to Brian about not crying like a baby or crying like a real man. I thought that was really nice.
Again, the real man thing drives me insane.
She might have not said real man. She might have just said man. But yeah, I know you hate when Huda says that. We all do. I still don't know what the definition of that is. But I liked that Shelley turned it around as to what a real man is. Not one that eats all his breakfast or does multiple pull-ups or... But
if Huda actually... I know you just said this, but if Huda said, in response to the family day, I really enjoyed seeing a lot of grown men cry, I feel like I'd actually be like, wow, I understand you so much better. Yeah, I feel like I would appreciate it.
But she wouldn't. We know that. So on family day, we were finally able to see Olandria meet Nick's mom and sister, who are stans of their relationship. That was awesome to see. Even just seeing like Brian and Amaya's families be able to mingle together, that was beautiful. Chris looking for any out he could get from his sister and mom, that was so beautiful to see.
Yeah, also smart women not saying anything, like because like for better or for worse, you know what happens to you on the internet if yeah,
I don't think they were speaking from their heart when they gave him advice, but they were protecting themselves and possibly him from the backlash of the hood rats.
Yeah, I know we're saying it's dangerous while saying things about Huda, but like we're not on national TV saying this stuff.
Yeah, I ain't scared either. Yeah. And then who are we missing? Iris and Pepe. I kind of noticed that they look alike during their family visits. I don't have much more to say after that.
It is giving surprise incest.
We were talking about like they need to look through their family trees to make sure. But I noticed they have a lot of similar features, and even like Iris's face looks kind of like his mom's face. Anyway, I'm digressing a little.
Yeah, that's a lot to unpack.
But anyway, it was really beautiful to see their families meet, and I think that it did help a few people see a future with others, whereas with other people, it kind of just demolished any chances of the future. I mean, others meaning Chris and Huda. Also, Huda's sister should have been on the show. She's a baddie. She was funny. Seems completely emotionally sane and intelligent. But anyway, I'm digressing again. So what I also thought was great about the finale was that Brian and Amaya closed things off.
No, they did not cut things off.
They closed things off, and they didn't lose.
I was actually really excited to see them just, like, obviously, of course I want them to win, but, like, to know that the curse is 100% foolproof would have been amazing, just to see, like, oh, yeah, sorry. Unfortunately, you guys are not even fourth. You're just gone. It's time for you to leave the island.
Yeah, like, so the pattern of closing things off, so Sierra and Nick were first. Obviously, Sierra, we haven't talked about on the show, but she vanished. We don't need to.
I don't think them closing it off just, like, made her,
it was
say slurs back in time.
The curse occurred, starting with them. And then after that, Taylor closed things off with Clark. Bye. And then Ace and Shelley closed things off, and they were voted off. So it was cool to see that the winners closed things off. They weren't affected by the curse of closing things off.
Yeah, I mean, was that cute as what we aim for?
Try
nice.
it.
But I see a lot of stuff online about, like, Ace becoming a victim of the system that he created and yada, yada, yada. Mm. I'm still on just, like, he's 22 and he's entertaining. Like, I'm not too mad about that. I also still, there's a big part of me that strongly believes that Yulisa, whether production knew about her past behavior or not, was really meant to be the villain of the show. And then when you're a show without a villain, I mean, you see, like, it's like, apparently there's, like, a lot of stuff on her social media and TikTok now about, like, I don't want to say unapologetic, but, like,
I literally didn't even, like, give her apology the time of day to listen to it, so I don't know what you're talking about, to be honest.
Yeah, that's fair. But, it seems like she's the type of person who was gonna make a mess in the villa and be like, so what are you gonna do about it? And that's I mean, I don't want to say that's, like, a good villain, but you know what I mean? That's your villain character. Now you don't have that, and you gotta, I mean, Huda tried to step up, but I think a lot of America wasn't ready for that. And then
I think Huda was trying.
I genuinely do think Huda was trying her best not to be evil.
Yeah,
this season. I do believe her behavior is genuine. It is concerning, but it's not necessarily
genuine for sure.
Yeah.
I will say Huda made history being the first couple ever in the finale to break up. We have had couples break up during their last date. We've had couples break up before the final.
Never on their final date? Isn't Chris also the first?
No, they have done it on their final date in the UK.
Okay.
I think it was like season 9. Someone's done it, but it was the finale that made it so sweet. I mean, that date in itself was historic.
It was amazing. Just the worst. It's going horribly, and then we're like, let's bring a third party into this to sing. That's honestly, to me, an incredible creative choice. They knew that was going to happen too. Guarantee Production absolutely knew that they were not going to make it that date, or that it was going to go bad.
Oh man!
I also can't believe that, like, Chris. I think this is a tweet somewhere, but, like, Chris being what has to be a record, at least for Love Island USA, first man to make it to the finale of Love Island USA against his will is pretty stunning.
I was surprised he didn't just self-evict, but this is.
It would have been the right thing to do, I guess.
I'll say on their date, the champagne was truly the star. Chris pouring it for himself, Huda going back and getting it. I was like, on top of the singer, of course.
The lake or the river or the water, the body of water was also a huge star.
Huda couldn't run because it existed, so that was nice.
Yeah, that was good. She couldn't escape, and Chris, even if she could, wouldn't help.
And then I also enjoyed him asking why she was crying. After Chris is a smart guy. So, in my opinion,
let's hear it.
He knew that he was going to be a villain in Huda's eyes if he broke up with her. So he made her break up with him. And then he also the way that he came back to console her essentially, but then still not give her the signs that there was still an opportunity there by not picking her up. I think everything about that was pretty wise.
Here's where I do feel for Chris, aside from just like, you know, like the whole thing he went through in the bed, yada yada, with like the counting, which I guess we'll probably get to later. I don't know if there's even gonna be time.
No.
So it is important to consider what this looks like from his perspective. And if you think about the information he was getting, so he has his experience with Huda, right? Which is like, you know, the 3-2-1, like, you know, the coercive use of you know, her own emotions and affection, yada yada yada. But
so you're talking about when they were in the bed and she poked him a bunch and then was like, you
better cuddle me, and then she said like or you know, I'm gonna be mad about it tomorrow, or like she used an insanely manipulative. But especially when he was just like, I just want to go to sleep.
Numerous times.
But he's getting that from Huda. He's seeing his experience, or he's seeing like, hey, like, I feel like this is a problem. I don't think we're working out. He meets his family, I believe it was his sister and his mother. And they were both like, oh, we like her. We think this is going good. Y'all are good for each other. So they're saying nothing but nice things. Now we know probably why, but you know, maybe they just genuinely like her. Who knows? I don't know them that well. And then he even goes to Brian, and he's like, Brian, we're having, like, I think it was out on the dock. He's like, I'm having all these issues. You know, I'm really worried about, you know.
Right before their date.
Yeah, right before their date. And then Brian's just like, just make it work, man. Like, no one is telling him, like, hey, yeah, there's a problem here. No one is telling him, like, you're allowed to break this off. Just end it, like, if you're not happy.
Brian's advice I agreed with to an extent, because it's their last date. He essentially has to go on it to spend another day in Fiji. So, yeah, just try. But it's not like he's like, try to continue this out of the house. It's just like, just try to have a good time this one last day. Get to the finale. You're my boy. I want to see you at the finale, so try.
But it explains to me why he'd want her to break it off, too. Just on the why he'd want it to be her decision. Not even out of, like, the online backlash or anything like that, but just like, hey, everyone else is saying this is great, and I'm just unhappy. Yeah. So, like, yeah, and of course I'm not saying it's, like, okay to just, like, push that, you know, labor off to someone else or anything like that. But it is, you know, it is very sad.
So sad. And then I thought it was interesting that after it all happened, Huda, when she reconvened with the girls, was like, I changed. I didn't yell during that dinner. Like, first and foremost, he had nothing to yell about, but she thinks that's what changes. But I will give it to her. She did say that, you know how Chris put it in her hands to end it? Mm. She said she ended it because she didn't see the foundation that was needed for them to pursue a relationship, knowing she has a daughter, knowing that they don't live in the same... I'm giving that to her. She saw something that was wrong. That was obviously evident. They don't have a foundation. She was basically strapped to a chair like the dude from Clockwork Orange. Her eyes held open with basically Chris playing a projector in front of her, being like, "We are not going to work out. This is never what do you want to do?"
And yeah, then she if it wasn't for the fact that it was so very much the right thing to do, I would almost say she made that decision under duress.
That is true.
I understand how sometimes you make a decision, then you spin it to be
but she still thought about it and had a good answer for the reason she made the decision. So I'm giving it to her.
Sure.
We should also talk a little bit. I know you could go on for ages about this, but Nick and Landro, we have to talk about them. I know you're staying.
I don't know what I'm going to do. What am I going to watch? What am I going to...
Their chemistry was on point. I don't care what anybody says, but in that last episode, I mean, Nick grabbing Alandria numerous times to kiss, like, they have something.
He looks... Did you see she started, like, drowning a little at the end?
Drowning?
Yeah, like, you know, obviously it's reaching, but, like, you know, she jumps in the pool, and I guess there may have been a mobility issue with the dress or things like that, and literally she's, like, sort of floating, and then she goes down and her arms are up. And then
I didn't see that.
Nick just teleports across the pool.
Oh, wow. I didn't notice that.
So
that's cute.
You know, Nick doesn't play about Alandria.
And the sleuths are sleuthing. I also saw that he's not following Beldasha or Sierra on Instagram. He's following like everyone else. So he also made sure he's not following romantic connections from the villa, which I think shows respect to her.
I also don't think Alandria would care.
She might not, but
I mean, she maybe.
But again, there's a lot of things that I don't think she necessarily cares about. I feel like Nick just goes out of his way to please her, which I like and love.
Also
and
fair.
Respect.
Also valid.
And then, of course, we got to talk about Brian and Amaya. I just love how educated this couple is. They're both so educated. They have real jobs, which is so nice. We don't know if they're going to keep them because obviously Amaya is now an international star. She's the Shakespeare of our time. Who knows if she's going to stick with nursing? But you did tell me earlier what she's doing with her.
I had heard, this is not validated, but I've heard that there's some talk about like her and Brian giving away the money, yada yada yada.
That would be so sweet.
But also like, and this is certainly not
they don't need to do that. But
yeah, this is also certainly not to take away from that. This is more to take away like from the kind of the impact of the $100,000 prize. I'm of the opinion everyone who made it to the finale is effectively a winner of the show, right? An extra 50 grand per person, which after taxes is like 30 grand, is not really like, it's important and it is very helpful money. But when you compare it to what all of them are going to be getting in terms of sponsorships or you know, like everything they can do to make money on social media, etc., I feel like it's really a drop in the bucket, relatively speaking. And that makes the will they won't they at the end of like, is Brian gonna keep the money? Like that makes it feels ridiculous. Like, why do we even do that anymore on the show?
Because someone has taken it in the past, so why not?
Make it happen.
No, I don't want them to change more of the recipe, Eric, please.
I mean, just raise the stakes. They can afford it. Like,
yeah, they can raise the stakes. That's fine.
Yeah, like just like again, like just make it $500,000. Like $500,000.
They
like,
should, yeah.
I think at this point, that's just adjusting for inflation compared to when Love Island started.
They should. I don't see it happening. I mean, all of the shows I watch with the monetary prize, they don't adjust it.
Like, they should. Well,
Big
Big Brother did. That's a big one.
Big Brother's the only one.
That's like the biggest one. I mean, that's
yeah. And I guess actually the challenge kind of does. Sometimes they reduce it, but sometimes they do increase it.
You know what? I think that should also be a thing. I think I think there should just be a disclaimer like to the cast, like
if your season sucks,
it's going back down to $100,000, and like just you know you hear that at the end, and you know
because I don't get more tryhards. I think that too many people were too self-aware of the popularity of the show, and I don't want that. We disagree on a lot here because I have been watching Love Island USA and UK, and I know the recipe. I don't want them changing it. I think they should go back to the original recipe and not start making more modifications.
Yeah, I don't like change. I've heard this one before. Although I was impressed. If I'm not mistaken, Amaya sounded a little surprised that there was a prize at the end. Like when I think it was when Ariana goes $100,000, she goes, "Oh," which
that's just our little exuberant queen, though.
I really like. It's probably not true, but how do I say it? She probably like. There's almost no way she went into the show not knowing that there was a prize at the end. But there is a big part of me that just wants to believe that she like woke up that day just like, I found love and I win, and you know the only prize is just America likes me the most, and that's it.
Aww.
You know.
I hope so. I hope she gets everything she wants in life. I also, when I was looking into like their backgrounds and making sure that we tell the stats of their education, like Amaya is a cardiac nurse, and I was looking into her background and saw that she did a little like of an influencer thing a few years back, where she was also trying to offer and lend advice to other people going through that same program, ways to pass I can't remember what the exam is, but ways to pass that. She was offering advice for that. And then even Brian, multifaceted. He's a real estate agent, bartender, financial accountant. He also attended Harvard Business School's Summer Venture and Management program. So these are two very highly educated people. Lost my train of thought as to where I was going with that. Sorry. But when I was looking into her background, I also just thought it was super cute that she has like vlogs that you can look back on that show how authentic she is. Like her personality has always been like this. That's where my train of thought was. If you find her YouTube channel, you can see that she's always just been someone that's excited about life, wants to help people. I know a lot of people equate her personality to being ditzy, but we saw so much good advice being given by her to other Islanders, which is also interesting. Yeah, she's just such a great person, and I'm so glad that she won. Even though, we did vote for Nicolandria. Actually, technically,
there's a clip somewhere.
I guess I could include.
I know. I've done a big one when I turn around and I literally just see the camera instead of constellation.
Maybe I'll include it in a short or something. But
I double tapped by mistake. My phone wasn't loaded. It was like lagging while I was trying to vote, and so I accidentally, against my will. Just like Chris getting to the finale, I accidentally voted for Amaya and Brian.
So thank you.
And so we swapped the vote. So then Monique voted for.
I was probably going to vote for Nicolandria, but when you voted,
that could have been the difference.
When you accidentally, one vote.
You never know.
When you accidentally voted for Amaya and Brian, something felt right in the world in my personal universe. I gave you my phone. So then
you should have voted for Amaya and Brian.
Technically, I did.
Oh, there you go.
I gave you my phone, and you voted like I would have, or you would have.
There you go.
So we swapped votes. Everything's fine.
It all worked out. I was distraught though. I could not believe I had done this.
Yeah,
I was so upset with myself. I was so ashamed. And then I just turn around and I see Monique with the camera.
Because you were so distraught. Sorry, I should have helped you.
Enjoying my pain.
All right. Well, that's all I had for these chains that have been broken for Love Island family visits and finale. Do you have anything else?
I'm excited for the reunion. Here's what I will say. Huge Nicolandria stan. I was pretty upset about all the different ways we added outside commentary to kind of their world on this episode. I personally don't even think that Nick's mom and sister should have even said Nicolandria.
Yeah.
Because then it's like, oh my gosh, they can see that and perceive that before the season's done or before the season's over.
But we couldn't vote anymore, so it's fine.
It's not. It's just. It just feels. You know what I mean? It feels like it's like
what we're seeing on screen.
It's like tampered with. You know what I mean? Same thing with like them getting fan mail on the beach. Like that to me was just like, of course. Like if there wasn't a reunion, I would be grateful for that because like you do want to be like, oh yeah, what is their reaction on screen? Yada yada yada. But we're gonna get a reunion, and that's when we're gonna get everyone's perspective after suddenly being connected to reconnected with the outside world out of nowhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
do you remember who hosted the reunion last year?
I
don't.
I just assumed it was Ariana, but you're right.
I feel like it was like Nick Vile.
It cannot be Nick Vile.
I can't remember though.
Nick Vile is not.
No, there's no way it was
another reunion.
I don't think it really was. But all right, thanks for joining. I know you don't.
Fired now.
Yep. You're fired. Get out of here.
I'll see you all at the reunion.
We're talking about Music Excite next.
Now we're on to our Music Excite times, and I'm so excited about this one. So the format announced a rescheduled reunion tour recently. They will be doing 3 city stops, and for those who don't know, they had announced this back in, I think, 2019 for 2020 dates, but it was unfortunately canceled because of the pandemic. So Nate and Sam were going to grace us with their presence back in 2020. The dreaded pandemic and the handling of it ruined it. They postponed it to July. They postponed it again to April of the next year of 2021. And then in 2022, they just had to cancel it altogether because things just weren't safe enough for these 2 wonderful men to leave their lives and kids and want to tour. So it's so exciting to see that they have rescheduled this, and I will not be leaving a link to get tickets in the description because I really want these tickets. It was so hard to get the first time around, but I'm also so grateful to them for doing larger venues, so it'll be a little bit easier for us to snag tickets. And so they'll be doing shows at 3 stops again. One will be September 27th at the Veterans Memorial Coliseum in Phoenix, Arizona. Fun fact, Nate and Sam apparently used to go to the Arizona State Fair there. They had a crazy idea to do a show there, and I see that the seating capacity is like 14,000 people, so it'll be so nice for y'all in Arizona. They'll be with Sydney Sprague, Astrologer, JPW, and Dadweed. And then they also will be at the Beacon Theater in New York with Ben Queller on September 30th. The seating capacity for that's about 3,000 people. Again, I'm not sharing the link in the description. And then October 10th, they'll be at Hollywood Forever Cemetery with Phantom Planet. And that will be outdoors, so I'm sure capacity for that is also in the thousands. Nate shared also that it would take something super special for him to want to leave his wonderful life. For those who don't know, he has a really great life, to want to do another tour. So it's so wonderful to see that he has been able to come out of hiding to do this for us. And he also said that preparing for these shows have been magical. So it's also cool to see that it's fulfilling for him too. Again, links will not be in the description because selfishly I need these tickets, but I'm so excited to see the reunion of the format, and I'll be there. If I can't get tickets to New York, I'm going to Arizona. If I can't get tickets in Arizona, I'm going to Hollywood. And that's that. I also have some music sad times. Joe from Fall Out Boy announced that he will need to get surgery on his hand, so he will be unable to continue with the dates that they have scheduled. They had a few tour dates in Japan and Brazil, and then they also were to play the Oceans Calling Fest in Maryland. This is just a great reminder for us elder emos to take care of ourselves. Be sure that you're taking care of your body. Be sure you're setting aside time to take care of yourself. If things hurt, see doctors, get things checked out. Make sure that you're prioritizing your health, because we are at that age where recently I actually hurt my knee playing pickleball. I've been 6 weeks out of being able to do anything because I hurt my knee playing pickleball. So let's remember to take care of ourselves, elder emos. Next up, we've got our Reddit roundup. I spend so much time on Reddit, I just have to include it as a segment here. So I saw a really interesting question from Afternoon Imagery 21 asking who is the most liked person on Bravo. And I thought it'd be fun to pair the answers with the follower count, because that's sort of data that is just there for us to see if these are accurate. I do equate likability to follower count. Usually if you like someone, you're going to follow them on social media. So we'll see. Norek B123 says Aisha, and it's deserved. It's well deserved. So Aisha from Below Deck. She is so loved. I will admit, I am an avid Below Deck watcher, but I did not watch the last season of Below Deck Down Under because it's a show that I watch while I'm eating. And Aisha loves talking about gross stuff like poop, a lot of gross stuff. So I love her, but sometimes cannot watch the television shows she's on because she's gross. But so gorgeous. Gross and gorgeous. Zealous Ideal Suit 269 said the only person I can think that I haven't seen tons of hate for was the Italian stallion Andrea Denver from Summer House. And yeah, how could you not love Andrea? I actually think he's there are very few men on Bravo that will probably never be a part of Liar of the Week here. And Andrea is one of them. He can do no wrong. I also thought it was cute that I'm Already Coolest asked, has anyone got any more pics of him? The original pic, for those who are listening, not watching, was him with his shirt on. And I'm Already Coolest was blessed with numerous pictures of his shirt off, and they said, thanks, I just needed to make sure. And then Spacey Casey said, this looks like someone asked ChatGPT for a hot Italian beefcake, and I have to say I'm really into it. Andrea has 1.2 million followers. I didn't say what Aisha has for those who are listening and not watching. So Aisha has 1 million. Andrea has 1.2 million. Savings Roll 4517 says Cynthia Bailey is the only person I can think of. And Jay's Waheen 34 said, yeah, I think this is the right answer. My hubs had a meltdown when he saw her on Beverly Hills and they called her a friend of. He was like, no, that's Cynthia Bailey. Agreed. I actually had a visceral reaction seeing that on Beverly Hills when she was at that dinner with Denise Richards, the weed dinner, I'll just say it, with Denise Richards. They called her a friend of. So odd to me. Cynthia Bailey has 4.1 million followers, so we're getting up there now. Roletti says, not a person, but Archie. And Blonde Horror Bear 622 says, he is better than a person in all caps. Agreed. Archie Bador. He unfortunately only has 5,674 followers. I was sure to follow him after taking the screenshot, I swear. But Mediocre Arugula 565 said, yes, my dog's absolutely obsessed with Archie. Every time he comes on the screen, my dog loses his freaking mind. He runs up to the screen, yells his face off, tries to get him to play with him. It's just so cute. While we're on the dog front, clown dog Brian, good name, said Lil Craig. Good boy Craig has a good amount of followers, 115,000. That's huge for a dog. I also was already following him. Scenic Route Kate said, I think we all love the front door on Summer House. Though the front door does not have an Instagram page, which I was a little disappointed in, I found a post of Bravo TV posting about the door in Summer House, and it had 2,979 likes, so I feel like a lot of people do like the door. And then a few comments, like Rebecca Fogg here says, I was so sad when they fixed the door. And Brutally Honest said, I'm going to miss them trying to get through that door after night out drunk. And then Jots and Scribbles 73 said, no, not the door. Gonna miss it. This was on the Instagram post about the door being fixed, by the way. So people do love the door. I do think, again, because I am trying to look at data to see the most liked, Candy is actually the most followed person on Bravo across the board, even more than Andy Cohen. She has 10.7 million followers. So technically, Candy seems to be the most liked person on Bravo. Maybe a lot of her fame and followers don't come from Bravo, but data is data, facts is facts. Next, we have got to talk about Big Brother Season 27. I'm still watching Big Brother after 27 seasons. Your girl watches Big Brother UK. Your girl watches Big Brother Celebrity UK. Your girl watches Big Brother Celebrity US when it comes out. Your girl has watched Big Brother Winter Games. I am a Big Brother stan through and through. My grandma still calls me about it, still talks to me about it. I might have auditioned a few times, but anyway, I digress. So I'm loving the season so far. I just love mystery stuff. So they already got me there with this mastermind dude and all of the little mysteries mixed into this house. The mastermind, honestly, I went to Wikipedia to figure out if he was the same voice as Olmec from Legends of the Hidden Temple. I cannot figure it out. I don't think he is. I don't know who the mastermind's voice is, but if anyone knows, please let me know. But I really appreciate the whole mystery aspect of this a lot more. Comparing this to last season's AI stuff, I am obsessed with it. I appreciate it so much more. I thought it was so funny that in the first not really funny, I shouldn't say that, but interesting. The first season of the competition had people trying to find Julie. She got snatched up by the mastermind. And then the other one was to find the HOH box. So Zach here found, here in the middle left in the blue shirt, he found Julie first. And then Jimmy here found the HOH relic. What I thought was interesting about this is Zach, who found Julie, he won $10,000. And then he later found out that the $10,000 could bribe his way off the block. Jimmy here solely won the opportunity to give 4 people the opportunity to compete for HOH, which is not great because a lot of people don't want to play for HOH in the first episode. And winning HOH in the first episode is usually a detriment to your game. So it wasn't really even, you know. Justice was not served with these competitions, but Jimmy did that. He was able to find people that wanted to play. He was also able to find more people that wanted to play and didn't pick them. So far I'm a fan of him. He played that really well. And then our unemployed diva here, Vince, in the flannel, he's the one that won HOH. I thought it was just based on his commentary. He said he's unemployed, he skateboards, plays ping pong, so his hand-eye coordination, his balance is really good. I think he's gonna win a lot of stuff, to be honest, because of that. You gotta talk about how Rachel Riley's back. I always think it's unfair when they bring back previous players, especially ones that have won. She's also been on The Trader, so I don't know why Rachel's there, to be honest, but whatever. She makes good TV. We'll see how long she stays in the game. If they're smart, they'll get her out quickly. That's all I have to say about that. And then there's also this twist with a 17th player. She was snuck into the game. She's helping the mastermind, it seems, but no one knows who she is, so that's nice. And then there could be a little showmance. We didn't get a ton with Love Island, so I think I might be, reaching too far, but it sounds like Mickey and Riley could be a thing. I'm also always, taking notes of who wants to win competitions versus who doesn't. I think generally the players that don't want to win competitions early on are going to be your best game players. Someone there's actually a gamer on the show. I was actually intrigued and interested to see that Jimmy wanted to play the HOH game. He seemed like someone who wouldn't, but we'll see. A lot of the macho guys, they all wanted to play too. But we will see how this season shapes up. There was so much jam-packed into the first episode that they didn't even do intros until the second one. There's going to be, I just feel like, so much. I will probably be tuning into the live feeds every so often, but expect some recaps every episode because, again, I'm a stan of the show. I love Big Brother. We've got our liar of the week next, and it's none other than Brock Davies. A husband, a dad, and now a Bravo infamous cheater. So here's the lowdown. So he had an affair that happened in 2020. It was smack dab in the middle of the pandemic, and Sheena Shea's pregnancy with their now 4-year-old daughter. Brock met another woman at the F45 gym, a name of a gym now that gives Sheena Shea PTSD from hearing it. And he met her at the gym, had an affair, and then hid it. He only confessed it 3 years later in 2023 after Scandival hit, and that rocked our worlds. So he felt like he could just sprinkle it in. Maybe what he did wasn't as bad. In Sheena's words, he dropped the bomb while they were watching TV, saying he was afraid of becoming a dad again, and he chose to sleep with someone else because of his fear. That's right, he chose. Sheena confronted him hard. She said she physically reacted. She slapped him and threw a Rubik's Cube, which she also has PTSD from Rubik's Cubes. Now she can't look at a Rubik's Cube without getting triggered. And literally, she's emotionally effed from his lies. He followed up his cheating with a letter. He sent it about a year after the affair ended, detailing exactly where he did it, how many times it happened, and swearing it was the only time he would be doing this to Sheena, and that it was physical. And Sheena destroyed that letter immediately, reasonably so. She kept it secret until now, admitting it on her podcast that she feared overshadowing other survivors with being labeled dramatic. Her memoir, My Good Side, is out July 22nd. And it's the first place that she's controlling the narrative for this. So he strategically cheated on her during her most vulnerable time, pregnancy, hid it for years, only spilling it after another scandal had hit their lives, making his own lies feel a little more. And then he tried to justify his betrayal by saying that his fear of fatherhood sort of pushed him into it, which, by the way, he's already a father of 2 kids. And now he's riding a wave of PR sympathy. So Brock Davies, you created your own reality bombshell, then failed to take ownership until someone else did it first, and that's why you're crowned our liar of the week. Last, we've got our segment. There's a little bit of emo in everyone, and today we're talking Chris Seeley. He is our emo twin today. And what's the track that aligns with his emotional spiral in this villa? It's none other than Quicksand by the story so far. So let's be honest, Chris walked into Love Island with the energy of the Chillinator 3000. I really thought he was going to tame Huda. But he wound up actually drowning in an emotional quicksand, courtesy of Huda. Their vibe was chronically stuck in a spiral of incompatibility. This man was trying so hard to keep his cool while getting dragged for the quantity of pancakes he made, his preference for sleeping over cuddles, and refusing to acquiesce to 3-second countdowns to boink. Every time he seemed to de-escalate a situation, Huda showed up with a new vibe shift or a new way to interrogate him, pushing him deeper. That lyric hits like Chris trying to maintain peace while visibly glitching through a recoupling that he did not want to be at. He was stuck emotionally, physically, and even aesthetically in a situationship that somehow felt like a dare to succeed and a punishment for trying. And isn't that the ultimate Villa mantra? You could see Chris holding it in, blinking through the chaos with soft boy rage on the back burner, with one final thread of patience left. So yeah, repressed pop punk breakdown energy of quicksand captures every second of Chris Seeley's time, coupled up with Hurricane Huda. And for that, Chris, we welcome you to the emo multiverse, and we prove yet again there's a little bit of emo in everyone. Last but not least, we've got our special report. First up, Project Runway Season 21 is almost here. Set your DVRs and gather your mood boards. Bravo's Project Runway returns July 31st. Season 21 will bring back the glitz, the grit, and the fresh lineup of ready to sketch, snatch, and slay their way down the runway. We're not saying we want another Wendy Pepper level villain arc, but we're not saying we don't want it either. Next, move over below deck. It was just announced that there's a new yacht in town, or in sea. Love Overboard was just announced by Hulu and Disney Plus with Gabby Windey as the host. Yes, it's exactly what it sounds like. Singles on a yacht, ready to emotionally sink each other. Coming in 2026, this floating pressure cooker of romance is giving luxury meets lunacy, and we're in. Meanwhile, on the emo nostalgia front, we're crying in 20-year anniversaries. The Spill Canvas and May have announced that they're joining forces for an epic co-headlining tour celebrating 20 years of One Fell Swoop and the Everglow. Expect sing-along, sobs, and more emotional stage banter than you signed up for, but will be thankful for. I've seen both of these bands live very recently, and y'all need to get these tickets. And speaking of emotional damage, A Lot Like Birds also just announced that they're headlining their own tour, and honestly, they also never missed. I just saw them with Fall of Troy, Closure in Moscow, and Lobby Boxer, and bring your earplugs and your souls. Get ready for post-hardcore highs and even some select shows in October with Head Automatica. So that's all I've got for you, saddies. Thanks so much for watching. Please like, share, subscribe, do all the things, follow, tell your friends. But I can't wait to see you next week. Catch you on the flip side.